Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Hello. We're going to be language of the heart today. This is where we're going to go with this one. So I had a little bit of time on my hands, been trying to get some things together. And I'm doing this so I can, I'm kind of doing this because, let me just make this statement real quick. My name is neither Beck nor Call, and I'm not Becker Call. I don't know why people seem to think that, I can't solve everybody's problems, right? I can't. I can barely solve my own. All right. So I know the holidays are going on and things are happening and, Yes, I'm wiping my hands clean. I don't remember asking God for patience, but I think he's trying to teach me to me anyway. This stuff isn't all easy, and there's plenty of emotions abound. I know I have my own people, it's a harder time of year. We don't, what I have found that is I can also make it harder on myself, which I tend to do. And I decided not to do that this year. It was a decision I made. I'm like, I'm not going to make the holidays harder than they need to be. There's no point in getting upset about presents and this and that. And, let's just do what we can. Right. Like my wife, she's going through a harder time. I know she's missing her sister. I know that she's missing some family, so she hasn't really wanted to do much. So I've been trying to be there, but I don't want to shove it. I'm not going to shove it in her face either. So I hung up some lights for her because I know that she likes to. It was the one part, you know how it is. Sometimes when you get overwhelmed with feelings, even the smallest thing can just seem immensely huge, right? And yeah, so let's take that into account. Thankfully, we're not all sick on the same day, right? Some days I'm having a harder day and you get to be there for me. Sometimes you're having a harder day and I'll do what I can to be there for you. All right. So, but this was actually, I believe it was today's daily reflection. 12:22. Yeah, principles, not personalities was the name of it. But I didn't want to put principles, not personalities, because some people think I'm angry at them right now, and they were going to think it was about them, and it's not. So I picked a different topic. See, that is what my mind does. It does try and think of other people when I do this stuff. And when I put titles together, I'm like, is this going to affect other people? Is it going to hurt people? Because that is not the intention. So, really, what we're talking about, who is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous? And I can make this really short and say, well, you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous if you say you are. There you go. Because really, that's all we really ask, right? So that is the simple answer. But there's some history behind this, and it's neat to look into the history. I didn't say hi, Amber. Hi, Amber. There's some history behind this, and some other things, some mistakes that they made. So let's kind of delve into those, because there are times when I hear things, right? This is what we want to stay away from. Well, there's a future member of alcoholic calling other people alcoholics who have not deemed themselves alcoholics yet. When it comes to alcoholism, self-diagnosis is really the only legitimate diagnosis, because until you admit it, you're not going to do something about it. Just come up here in the lap, dude. He's just circling my legs. He's allowed. Here you go. I'll give you some more. There you go. Unfold my legs. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I am your host. Tomorrow we're going to be welcome back Roger McDermott for God-Centered Recovery. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then we tried to reschedule it to a different time, but Mike Tyson from the National Peer Recovery Alliance is going to be on and talking to us. He's going to give us a little bit of his story. And then tomorrow night, I am going to be on, what's the name? Man, too many names. Tomorrow night, I am going to be on The Grouch and the Brainstorm with Matt Light. That ought to be cool. That's going to be fun. So busy day tomorrow. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Looks like the other listeners went away because they weren't hearing what they thought they were going to hear. Who is a member of Alcoholics Anonymous? This was written in August 1946, so before the 12 by 12 came out. All right. But we already had kind of had some traditions going. The traditions were presented at the International Conference of 1950, right? Yes, you are good. You are. He is. He's like a really good looking cat. He's got like half a Hitler mustache though. Look, you guys see this? See? Just look at the camera for a second. See, he's got like half a Hitler mustache. All right. The first edition of the book, Alcoholics Anonymous, makes this brief statement about membership. The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking. We are not allied with any particular faith. I know you're there, Amber. Right? We are not allied with a particular faith, sect, or denomination, nor do we oppose anyone. We simply wish to be helpful to those who are afflicted. Why are you biting me? This expressed our feeling as of 1939, the year our book was published, right? And he didn't really bite me. He just put his, I must have done something he didn't like. Did I do something you didn't like? And you're just trying to let me know, He just doesn't usually do that. That's why it was weird. Right? So it says an honest desire to stop drinking is where we're at. Now they took the word honest out. What about slips? Does that seem like an honest desire to stop drinking? Are alcoholics really that honest when we get here? I mean, the principle behind step one is honesty. I wasn't honest when I first got here. I didn't know how to be. Thank God for humility and the gift of desperation. Thank God for the people that came before me, right? That said, hey, we're really going to be, because when we have put it that way, then what happens is then we only work with particular kinds of drunks, the very low bottom cases, right? And there's a lot of AA is full of a lot of people who could have gone on to the bitter end, but quit at a younger age. And good on you, man. Good job. If you're younger and in this program, People are going to say things to you like, "Oh, I spilt more on the bar. I spilt more on the bar than you ever drank." "Oh, I wish I would have got." Don't do this. Okay, you don't need to make them feel bad for getting sober younger. And how do I know that? Because I got sober at 18 and I went through a halfway house for homeless alcoholics, and I heard it all. That was bullshit. At one point, I started telling people, just don't talk to me. If that's what you're gonna say to me, don't talk to me. Yeah. Since that day, all kinds of experiences with memberships have been tried. Oh, hmm. The number of membership rules which have been made and mostly broken are legion. That means there's a lot. That's what legion is, a lot. 2 or 3 years ago, the central office asked the group to list their membership rules and send them in. After they arrived, we set them all down. They took a great many sheets of paper. A little reflection upon these many rules brought us an astonishing conclusion. If all these edicts had been enforced everywhere at once, it would have been practically impossible for any alcoholic to have ever joined Alcoholics Anonymous. About 9/10 of our oldest and best members could never have got by. Right? Means a lot of people wouldn't have made the qualification for AA. The least amount of rules, the better. In my home group, it is a closed meeting. And we've had a few people ask, am I allowed to be in here? And what we ask is, do you have a desire to stop drinking and stay quit? Yes. Then of course you're welcome. That's it. We're not, I don't need to ask if you're an alcoholic. That's up to you, right? But if we can, you know, maybe we have somebody comes in, they're like, I really need a meeting, but I'm not an alcoholic. What should we do? Should we kick this person out? I don't think grassroots is going to do that. I think what they're going to do instead is take a quick vote. Say, yeah, we got to look for reasons to say yes. All right. Because they need something. And aren't we there with God? And isn't that kind of the answer? I like to be, I can be selfish about my meetings too, don't get me wrong. But when we place all these rules, and I hear them a lot too. Right? And a lot of people wouldn't have made it. So don't make rules. What's the other rule at grassroots? That's about it. we stick to the solution to our drinking problem. That's the other rule. Yep. Right. So in some cases, we would have been too discouraged by the demands made upon us. It's already hard enough in AA, right? Most of the early members of AA would have been thrown out because they slipped too much, because their morals were too bad, because they had mental as well as alcoholic difficulties that would have kicked me out, or believe it or not, because they did not come from so-called better classes of society. Huh. So when you go around and you see all these ones where it's like, right, or we start mixing and matching, we've got to be a little careful, right? And maybe ask God, what does he want out of this situation? Right? We Ulsters could have been excluded for our failure to read the book Alcoholics Anonymous, or the refusal of our sponsor to vouch us for a candidate. See, before you got voted in, that's where sponsorship comes from. You were sponsored into the meetings. You didn't go to a meeting and find a sponsor. That is not how it happened. You asked for help. A doctor called AA. Some members of AA showed up, and one of these two people became your sponsor, qualified you to get into the program, and then you had to be voted in. Imagine that. Even in the 90s when I came in, you were pretty much assigned a sponsor. You weren't, there wasn't a choice given. Hey. So, right? So refusal or sponsor vouchers as a candidate, and so on ad infinitum. The way our worthy alcoholics have sometimes tried to judge the less worthy is, as we look back on it, rather comical. Imagine, if you can, one alcoholic judging another. Huh, right? But for the grace of God go I. Yeah. We don't get to judge each other. I have no room to judge. After all the, yeah, I was a horrible father. I was an absentee father. I wasn't a very good husband. I wasn't a good son. I wasn't a good friend. Okay. Um, so I really am I that person now? No, but that doesn't mean I'm better than other people. It just means I had things that I needed to deal with so I could catch up to the rest of the human race. Right? At one time or another, most AA groups go on rule making benders. Naturally enough, too, as a group commences to grow rapidly, it is confronted with many alarming problems. Panhandlers begin to panhandle. Members get drunk and sometimes get others drunk with them. Those with mental difficulties throw depressive or break out into paranoid denunciations of fellow members. Gossips gossip. And righteously denounce the local wolves and Red Riding Hoods. And just the way he writes is so cool. All right. Newcomers argue that they aren't alcoholic at all, but keep coming around anyway. There's so many things to judge on. There are, you know. Um, yeah, so I have to be very careful of that, right? And we have to be very careful on how many rules we have around things. Now, there's some people in AA that on my phone, they're blocked. They're blocked from my social media. They're blocked from pretty much everything that I do. Okay. But if I see their name pop up to let into the grassroots AA meeting, I have to let them in. I don't have to, but I'm going to. It's not for me to say. That is not for me to say. Earlier, I made a mistake and removed somebody from a group, and I wrote to them personally, and we had a little talk. Okay. Now I did it because they were leaving the group anyway, but it was a little emotional. All right. So I reached out to that person and we talked it out. And it worked out just fine. And then come back to the group. They understand where a mistake was made. And I told them, hey, if you're feeling left out again and you're trying to get an answer from me, just text me directly. There you go. Right? Because they were trying to figure out how to do something. It was creating something online and making money through YouTube, and they thought that's what I did. No, I don't make any money off this stuff. I have no idea how to do that. If I did, do you think that number would be 1 all the time? Do you think the amount of people listening to me? No, it wouldn't, right? So, right, and even then, I'm like, we got to make some rules around here, but it can only be the same rules as the meeting. That you need an honest desire to stop drinking, a desire to stop drinking, and that we stick to the solution. And those are really the only two. Those are really the only 2 rules we can apply, right? Amber says, if you don't let him in, your co-host will. Yeah, if I make one, huh? I have several co-hosts, but yeah, somebody's gonna let him in. Can't keep people out. There's nobody restricted from the meeting. All right. So others refuse to accept all 12 steps of the recovery program. Some go still further, saying that the God business is bunk and quite unnecessary. Under these conditions of our conservative program, abiding members get scared. These appalling conditions must be controlled, they think, else AA surely will go to rack and ruin. The view with alarm for the good of the movement. Now, you don't really hear stuff about, oh, I don't go for that God business. You don't really hear it much anymore because there are other programs that are agnostic that's where they go. And that's fine. So we don't hear it in AA as much, but back then there weren't other options at the moment. What are some other good ones? Well, I'm not going to send you to Celebrate Recovery, that's for sure. Amber, you're just being a shit. Okay, I'll go change the login info. No, I won't, because then I have to remember to do it and all that. Yeah, you can have it here. You can actually have all of it. Here's all the login info. Oh, that reminds me, I got to send the person we voted in all the information. Thanks for that reminder, by the way. All right. All right. Where was it? I was on a roll about something. Oh, I was just saying we don't really hear that God business as much anymore. Also under Smart Recovery. Well-Briety's probably, no, not Well-Briety. Dharma ain't going to work either. Well, it looks like you get AA Agnostica or Smart Recovery then. Yes, there is an agnostic AA. Absolutely, there is. It's called Agnostica AA. All right. At this point, the group enters the rule and regulation phase. Charters, bylaws, and membership rules are excitedly passed, and authority is granted committees to filter out their undesirables and discipline the evildoers. Now, this is okay for maybe an AA club, but not an AA group. Imagine all this, right? Then no one would come because Amber is in charge. That's the thing that I don't get, Amber. Why does everybody think I'm in charge there? I'm not. All right. Of course, and then I turn around and do an action that makes it look that way, huh? Yeah. All right. Hey, we got to call ourselves out, man. All right. But I do have to say something. I'm kind of getting tired of being fucking wrong. And some of the things, finger pointing, I don't agree with. And neither does my sponsor. So, but it's all right. Right? Principles before personalities. That's what I have to, just like everybody else. I have to go back to that. And it's all right. Otherwise, we're going to sit in those meetings and we're going to be grumpusauruses. Rah, 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 rah. Once, at some point, a solution needs to be presented that we can all kind of agree on. Right? No. All right. And discipline the evildoers, like we can dole out discipline. Then the group elders, now clothed in with authority, commence to get busy. Recalcitrants are cast out into their darkness. I don't even know what that is. Respectable busybodies throw stones at the sinners. And for the so-called sinners, they either insist on staying around or else they form a new group of their own. Yeah. Amber says people need to follow the leader. I would agree with that. And the leader is God. He is the ultimate authority. But I do hear what you're saying. We'll talk about that on WhatsApp a little bit more. Because there are some things around that are kind of personal. I don't really want to bring up here. So, right, then they just go start a group of their own. Fine, I'll go make something up and I'll go create my, which isn't always a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing, but it does happen. I hope that one day somebody dislikes my group so much that they go start another AA group. Because then you just gave us more AA, and I'm fine with that. I'm having fun, folks. I don't want that to happen. I'd rather it be a good thing. I'd rather it be a good reason, right? Uh, Amber says they think someone is in charge because they don't know the traditions. I'm not sure. It confuses me too. It still gets me too, Amber. It's like, which way is the right way? Which way is the one that it needs to be done? Because in a sense, I am a leader and I have to set the good example, but I am not the authority. I don't get to make the decisions, right? So, which is where I went wrong earlier. I made a decision that should have been a group thing. So, everybody has learned a great deal. So, it is that few of us are no longer afraid. Oh, wait a minute. Was I done with this? Oh, no, I was not. Or maybe they join more congenial or less intolerant crowd in their neighborhood. The elders soon discover that the rules and regulations aren't working very well. Most attempts at enforcement generate such waves of dissension and intolerance in the group that this condition is presently recognized to be worse for the group life than the very worst that the worst ever did. Yeah. That's why we got to be careful on those rules. Right. Okay. After a time, fear and tolerance subsides, the group survives unscathed. Everybody has learned a great deal. So it is that a few of us are no longer afraid of what any newcomer can do to our AA reputation or effectiveness. Those who slip, those who panhandle, those who scandalize, those with mental twists, those who rebel at the program, those who trade on AA reputation, all such persons seldom harm an AA group for long. Some of these have become our most respected and best loved. Some have remained to try our patience sober nevertheless. Others have drifted away. We have begun to regard these ones as menaces, but rather as teachers. They oblige us to cultivate patience, tolerance, and humility. We finally see that they are only people sicker than the rest of us, that we who do condemn them are the Pharisees whose false righteousness does our group deeper spiritual damage. Yeah. Thinking that people need to follow whatever rule. Like when I started the group, there weren't any rules. It was just a closed meeting. That's all it was. It was actually the group started out as invite only. That's how it started. Pop. Right. Because I went back to, and it didn't take long before that changed. But the least amount of rules, the better. The rules mostly apply around you can only chair if you have 30 days. We asked you to have it's either I think it's 2-3 months before you can chair. I think we decided on 2 months before you can host in our meeting. If you want to read, doesn't matter how much time you have, but there are certain positions where rules are needed. Treasurer needs to have 2+ years, things like that. So these are the other rules. But when we meet in the actual room, what are some of the rules? Well, we have a timer, no crosstalk, stay on topic. You don't even have to say, I'm Dion, I'm an alcoholic. You don't even need to do that. A lot of times people forget, right? Every older AA shudders when he remembers the names of persons he once condemned, people he confidently predicted would never sober up, persons he was sure ought to be thrown out of AA for the good of the movement. Now that some of these very persons have been sober for years and may be numbered among his best friends, the old timer thinks to himself, what if everybody had judged these people as I once did? What if AA had slammed the door in their faces? Where would they be now? Yeah, just imagine we made a bunch of rules for grassroots. It wouldn't be the size that it is now. People would not feel comfortable in the group, right? That is why we all judge the newcomers less and less. I, 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 I'm going to tell you, I'm more apt to judge somebody with 20 years than I am the newcomer, because you should know better. Hey, the newcomer doesn't do it. I give the newcomer all the respect and leniency that I can give because I know what it's like. Yeah. So, but I'm glad that we are judging them less and less. If alcohol is so uncontrollable a problem to him and he wishes to do something about it, that is enough for us. So quit determining willingness too. You never know. I mean, your intuition is probably correct. I'm not saying it's not correct, but it's good enough for us to, it's good enough for me to say, hey, do you need a sponsor? Right? They may not show up. They may not, okay, but it's good enough for me to do that. Right? Yeah. We care not whether his case is severe or light, whether his morals are good or bad, whether he has other complications or not. Our AA door stands wide open, and if he passes through it and commences to do anything at all about his problem, he is considered a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes. Yay, you're a member. Now give us your Medicaid number. I thought that was funny. All right. He signs nothing, agrees to nothing, promises nothing. We demand nothing. He joins us up. He joins us on his own say so. Nowadays, in most groups, he doesn't even have to admit he's an alcoholic. He can join the AA on the mere suspicion that he may be one, that he may already show the fatal symptoms of our malady. All right, a couple more paragraphs, but we'll get through them pretty quickly here so you can get on with your day. Of course, this is not a universal state of affairs throughout AA. Membership rules still exist. If members persist in coming to meetings drunk, he may be let outside. We may ask someone to take him away, but in most groups, he can come back the next day if sober. Though he may be thrown out of the club, nobody thinks of throwing him out of AA. He is a member as long as he says he is. Yet, you can't be blacklisted from AA. We don't keep a running tally of people that are not allowed, okay? While this broad concept of AA membership is not yet unanimous, it does represent the main current of current thought of AA thought today. We do not wish to deny anyone chance to recover from alcoholism. We wish to be just as inclusive as we can, never exclusive. Perhaps this trend signifies something much deeper than a mere change of attitude on the question of membership. Perhaps it means that we are losing all fear of these violent emotional storms which sometimes cross our alcoholic world. Perhaps it bespeaks of our confidence that every storm will be followed by a calm which is more understanding, more compassionate, more tolerant than we ever knew before. Yeah. Thank God they made those changes, man. Or I wouldn't have had a place to go. I'm not sure I would have qualified for all that. When I was younger, at 45, oh yeah, I would have qualified. So, all right. Thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.